Musa and Nxumalo. We are waiting for him. He will be soon in the talk. I will move him here. Move this a little bit. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Hey, Musa.
Oliver, how's it?
Hi, how are you doing? How are you?
Good.
Good.
I'm good.
Great that it works so well. Perfect. Great.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm alright. I'm doing alright, man.
Great.
You know, you always watch, live videos, and, you never think about, the process of balancing the phone and making sure the angles.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure that we have you here in the talk. It's great. It's been now like a few times that we haven't had the artist talk, so it's perfect to give a voice to all the artists out there as well. So it's a pleasure that you are here. And yes, we already have some people in. Yes, today Musa and Nxumalo. I hope I spell it right. And he will talk a little bit about his practice as an artist, as a photography artist. And he is with Snack Gallery and based in Johannesburg, in South Africa. And why you tell a little bit about your how did you become an artist? What is your artist practice? How did you get into photography?
Yeah, so I think why am I an artist? I think the inspiration really came whilst I was in high school, So whilst I was in high school, I had this friend who was into hip-hop music, So he introduced me to hip-hop music, and, he gave me like a copy of Tupac, Rose That Grew from Concrete,
Yes.
And so I was quite like fascinated by that, and so we had like exercise books. So he was so much into like magazines and music and stuff, and we had like obviously like exercise books that we worked with for schoolwork, and he had like coolest posters and coolest pictures on the covers. He had your Dr. Dre's, your Eminem's and stuff, and kind of like pictures of graffiti, kind of like, almost like your collage, kind of like to make his books look nice. And so I was really much like interested in that, and I think that's when for me, the idea of art, like started and became like interesting to me. So, and then like, just like fast forwarding, I finished matric in 2005, and already then, like, I was so much into this thing of like music and looking at images and music videos, so that those were like a big influence for me around then. And I was already by that time like scrapbooking with this friend of mine, so we had like piles of like, folders with like images and, graffiti and stuff, so after high school, kind of like, the typical story of, growing up in the ghettos and the townships, there's not a lot of like options about, what one would do when they finish school, so university is not a given, that you go there, So there was this program on local TV, and which covered the arts, so kind of like street art, music, anything that you can imagine of, So it was produced by this company, Rage. I think Maria McCloy, was behind that. And then they profiled like photographers, artists, like magazines and stuff, So that for me, it came up like at a really like right time. I think it was around 2004, 2005. And so I remember, I think it was 2005 or 4, I saw Nxumalo Lolo Velego, you might know her, she's a photographer. So they were profiling her, and she looked amazing there, so she had mohawk, with the black lipstick, dressed in all black, and then, she had this medium format camera, and then she was talking about her being a photographer, and she spoke about Market Photo Workshop, the school that David Goldblatt started in Newtown. And so she was just talking about her journey as an artist, how she started. And then she started talking about the school, that they offer bursaries, and instead of paying back bursaries by money after you finish, in fact, like there's an exchange program where you have to go and work as an intern, so assisting lecturers and students, and then that's how you work back like your fees that you got funded. And for me, it sounded like a fantastic space for me, And I went there with a friend of mine, and I registered, and that's how I became a photographer.
Okay, wow, great. And your photographies, they're very much into or very most black and white, like very contrast, very strong contrast, especially, and even with the focus sometimes, like it's pretty strong. I really like this. And why did you choose taking black and white photography? What do you want to express with it? And especially because most of the situations are very in by coincidence, like suddenly a situation and a guy is raising the hand and something like this. So what do you want to express? Is it the message? Is it an aesthetic? What kind of background artistically you want to express?
So I think there's two things in your question that I really want to touch into. So I grew up like in Soweto, so in my neighborhood. In fact, like just opposite my house, where I grew up, like my grandmother's house, there was a shebeen, So it was always like a party. There was always like a party, So full on like Fridays to like Sundays really late, and then just opposite that shebeen, almost like also around that area, there was like a soccer field, So during the week, you would have kind of like different teams, from my neighborhood, kind of like exercising, and then you have kind of like onlookers, guys just hanging around, looking, and then there was always like music in the background, so almost like not 24/7, but 7 days a week. There's always like a soundtrack, So these are like really early, my aliens, and there was kind of like always like this energy, that for me, I think shaped not only my artistic practice, but then like who I am. I relate like a lot to music. Music influences me a lot, and I think that's one part, about my work that somehow I always kind of like reference or always kind of like seeking to go back to, so that's why like I photograph mostly in clubs or concerts or, so there's this energy that I'm always trying to reach back to, which speaks to this like earlier, So, and then when it comes to black and white, I think my first love for black and white photography, I think I posted this story, like, on my Instagram feed, like a couple of days ago. There was this book by Nweza. I think it's titled Snap Judgments. So it features like a lot of, photographers from the continent and diaspora, And so we were taught in class. So this trainer, John Friedrich, in class was teaching, kind of like introducing us to, what possibilities one can do with photography, what this photographer is doing, blah, blah, blah. And, I saw for the first time Andrew Dosunmu's works, so he's a Nigerian filmmaker and photographer,
Yeah.
And, they were like, it was like, I think a 2-page spread of like these black and white, grainy, kind of like gritty images,
Yeah.
And, at that time, this was, I think, like the intermediate class. And at that time, one was still looking for a signature, if you may, or like, kind of like a language that works.
Yeah.
And, Michael Photo Workshop was very big on photojournalism, documentary photography, so if you look at the works of like your Ernest Cole and, Santi Mofugeng and so forth, so those were the images that were there. But, when I saw Andrew Dosumu's works, they spoke to me on so many different levels. First, that black and white, that great, and then also, it was kind of like young people, youth culture, so it's guys like, wearing Adidas shoes, so like dressed up like fashionably, so for the first time I'm seeing like black and white images that has less to do with like hardcore photojournalism, like a documentary photography, So that resonated with me, and I kind of like ran with that, So I was like, this is what I want to do, And there's also, later on, I saw the works of Heidi Slimani, I think. So he's a French fashion designer and like a photographer as well,
Yeah.
And so his use of like black and white photography for me is very like incredible, So I kind of like fused, both those influences and stuff, and that's what's basically, I've gotten to work with the work.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think in general, like, for example, let's say the masters of African contemporary photography, Malik Sidibe, Seydou Keita, like the big names who are somehow the inventor who started to become an artist like professionally in Africa. Do you take inspirations from these, and how do you react on this as well, like Zanele Moholi? Is it kind of inspiration, or you just focus on yourself, or you as well take inspiration from other artists?
Well, I do take, inspiration from other artists. Malik Sidibe is like is a fantastic photographer. Like James Barnell, is amazing. Zanele Moholi, she's great. Like we know each other like very well. We chat a lot.
Yes.
So but then you take inspiration like just based on, or I tend to take inspiration just based on, the times that photographers like Malik Sidibe, worked in, and then kind of like looking at the images that they were bringing up around that time, it's quite fantastic. And one starts to imagine like other things, about the images. So it's like the music these people in the images were listening to, how they are dressed up. I start thinking about Malik Sidibe, how he was maneuvering around,
Yes.
And, James Barnell with his like colorful photos, his colors, just like amazing, and, I start thinking about, his process. I think, for a lot of like other photographers, I tend to kind of like follow their story, kind of like check and imagine like how they move around. One other photographer, that I really admire a lot is Jamel Shabazz.
Yes,
so
yes. I heard.
In America, he has this book, A Time Before Crack.
Yeah.
So there's so much like kind of like sensitivity to his works, kind of like documenting, especially this book, A Time Before Crack, where he, it's just like beautiful how he photographed, the black communities in New York, in the subways and in the city, so just like the innocence, of people around there, and all of those people somehow, have got like an element of influence in my work. I might not be, consistently like thinking of it, like consciously saying, oh, now Malik Sidibe or what, but then, photographers that I read about, that I discuss, and then it's just like all these inspirations that are sitting at the back of my mind and somehow, appears in my work.
Okay. Okay, great.
Yeah.
And what do you think, like, for example, photography is most, like, always edition, like, depending on the size, edition, like, maybe 2 to 3, maybe 5, 10, 8, no matter what. How do you decide on the edition on your pieces? Do you think rather having, like, small editions with low numbers, or rather having, like, more higher editions? What is better for you, and what is better for the artist?
I think, it's really like a commercial like decision, that influences that. I for instance, from early on, in my career, I decided that I want to be an artist, and I hardly did like commercial work, So my main source of income is selling prints,
Yes.
So, and, in order for the prints to have value, it goes back to that thing about paintings and sculptures being like very limited, and, they hold more value.
Yes.
So for me, early on, I started, like, I think I used to have about like an edition of 10, plus 2 APs. But then as I continued, we kind of like scaled that down like drastically,
Yeah.
And now, my works are kind of like, I think it's like edition of 5, and then I do like 2 APs,
Okay.
So I think that works well because, for me, for instance, like, I see this other artists who works in prints, and then they've got, a print of like 100 edition and stuff. For me, I don't like that,
Yes, exactly.
So you make an edition smaller.
Yes.
And if you run out, you run out.
Yes.
And then pushes or it ages you to create more works.
Yes.
So it's the chance to develop like more works and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I prefer like smaller editions, and it's mainly, I think, because of it's a commercial, like, really. Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. Very good. Do you have something to show us? Do you have some pictures maybe around you which you can show to the community? Do you have something?
Like now?
Yes, just a question.
I've got artworks on my walls, but like not my photographs.
Okay. 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 I thought that you have something, some cool, great works around you.
I mean, I have like an Instagram account. I think there's a hashtag on my profile, and then it leads you.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
And it's easy really to access my work, So it's Matt Galada's website, and then you go to the artist page, and then the works are there and some installation shots. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Great. Like, what is your next target with your like now? Like, you have probably, like, everyone has a lot of time to work, getting progress due to the pandemic scene. What are your next goals? Are you like looking for a new exhibition or something like this? Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, the gallery and I right now, we're really like working on something. I think just before lockdown or like late last year, I started shooting a lot. So I've got works, that are ready, like to show or to be printed and then like shown. So there's something that me and the gallery are working on.
Yes.
And we're just hoping that, by this year, we are able to like go back to some kind of a normal so that we can be able to proceed.
Yes.
Yeah, so definitely, like, I think early next year or late this year, depending on how everything pans out, So we'll definitely have something. But, also artistically, there's quite shifts that I want to make, in terms of how, I present the works. I think, ever since I started, exhibiting, I've been very, like, almost like traditional. There's been moments where I kind of like explore with how like a display or exhibit, my photographs. But, I'm at the point now where I want to go and make photographs or create works and come back and then kind of like explore with different ways of showing them, So I think, going forward, those are the plans. Yeah.
Cool. Very good. Before I want to hand over to the community to ask you some questions, the community can already type in the questions. I want to know if someone in the community wants to become an artist. What can you give them for advices? You're a long-term artist. How is it like? Can you give any important advices to them?
Like if they want to become an artist?
Yes.
Yeah, I think, it always works if you have a concern, I think. Mm-hmm. I think as an artist, if you have a concern, it becomes, or your journey becomes a little bit easier.
Yes.
Than if you don't have a concern, you're just fascinated by the technicalities.
Mm-hmm.
So I interact with a lot of artists, like established artists and, up and coming artists, and I see this, so there's constantly like, because you might have a skill, making great photographs, or painting well, sculpting well, but, people are always like looking for the thoughts behind. They're looking for whether it's a story or
yes.
What is it that and I always find that like artists who spend time like thinking about what their concern is, tend to have it a little bit easier, not easy, but a little bit easier than if you don't have a concern and then you just like fascinated with the technicalities, And yeah, I think that should be the advice, yeah.
So better to have a concept without a concept. But because sometimes like for me, like for collectors, the concept is interesting, but I think the first look should be aesthetically, should be inspiring, should be catching the artwork, it should be dragging you towards it, and then let's say the story, the concept behind it should be, let's say, it's for me, it's only my opinion, like should be, let's say, like second thought, it's supporting the aesthetically. If someone is something is very aesthetically, then and have a great concept behind it, then it's a great piece of art. But for me, like if the concept is great, but somehow the aesthetics and so on is not catching that much, I think it's kind of it's not let's say for me it's sometimes a little bit strange to only buy something which has a concept,
Yeah, I think I meant like a concern. It might be like it's more like a concern than well, I think anyway it's related. So it's a concern and then it's a concept that you work with. So aesthetics for me definitely like they make sense.
Yes.
And they're important. But you do find works that aesthetically are amazing.
Yes.
But then if you think about the concept, or maybe there's less of like the concept behind the work. It's just something that technically and aesthetically like looks amazing, but it doesn't have kind of like I don't want to say a deeper meaning, but So for me, it's always amazing when those two like kind of like merges. So you have a serious like concern, and then you have like the aesthetic to kind of like translate that. So. And, I'm always searching for that, as an artist myself. I think I think for me, it's artists who have really made it, who are able to bring those together and be able to run with it,
Yes.
So yeah.
Great. Very, very cool. Okay, great. Any questions from the community? Do we have some questions? We can wait a little bit. And... so how's like currently like affecting the pandemic scene you and your working? Are you very relaxed, producing a lot, or how do you react on the pandemic scene?
So I've been doing a lot of thinking. I've been doing a lot of thinking and kind of like going through works that I've created in the past, and that's why like earlier on I spoke about how I'm thinking about thinking about different ways of presenting my work going forward. So I think this moment of being back on the lockdown, not the coronavirus, but just like the space of being on the lockdown, it's been quite great in that sense, because then one, get to have time to relax and then really think about what is it that we're doing, and so I think, I've spent a lot of time thinking about how I want to show my work going forward, and kind of also ideas, that I want to explore going forward. So.
Yeah. Okay, very, very cool. Great. Okay, so not many questions today. Maybe it's early.
I think, Smack Gallery is, you go to their website, so you find details there, and then they're able to show you works that are available. I don't know, we haven't, Smack hasn't done anything they've been online. They've took out, they've done shows that are online, group shows, and they have a strong presence also on Artsy. And I think Smack Gallery is one of the South African galleries that does most of international art fairs,
Yes.
And I've been involved in a couple of those, which is great.
Yes, very cool.
So and obviously as a gallery, the program, so they might decide to deal with just painters on this show, sculptors on that show, but they're very much active, and and they do show my work, which is great, both locally and internationally.
Yes.
So
very, very cool.
And then obviously it's this upcoming show that we're busy, kind of working on at the moment.
Yes. So. We can find you on Artsy as well, artsy.net. You have your Artsy, and then on the Smack Gallery, and you have a website. So very cool. Okay, great. Yes, I will post everything as well, putting everything together in the YouTube, and putting as well your links and from Smack onto it. So everyone who's interested in his works, please inquire as well. Support everyone, support him, support the gallery. I think in these times we need to stay together, and it's very, very cool. Thank you so much. And today there's not so many questions, but thank you so much for your time. And we will stay into contact, and I will put this YouTube video on YouTube. And please, maybe to sum it up, maybe you can give some last advices or some last words to everyone, what you want to say.
I mean, there's quite a lot happening at the moment, and I think, in everything that is happening, I think, it's I've kind of took this time to keep still and kind of relax
down. Make a break,
and which is quite good. I think somehow the world has forced us into staying away so that it heals itself, and I think it also helps if we do that to ourselves, and go to Smack Gallery's website, put in your email address, so that you join their mailing list.
Yes,
I think Smack has got a great program, so that you'll be able to see what is it that they're working on going forward, and then and you'll be able to see when my artworks are, or when my next show is coming up.
Cool, great. Okay, yes, thank you so much for your time. I will post everything, and we'll put this as well on IGTV for those who couldn't attend. Thank you so much for your time, and please take care, everyone, and stay safe. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Have a great evening.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Yes, bye.